Hello and welcome to my wrap of this week in real estate, where I can tell you that auction clearance rates, well, they just continue to rise with the latest national average of 79%. Now that is well above the 51% for the same period last year, according to CoreLogic. Now, of Melbourne's 717 auctions, the clearance rate was at a solid 79%. And of Sydney's 578 properties that went under the hammer, 80% of them were sold. Now, Canberra, well, they absolutely nailed it. They achieved the highest success rate at 90%, although based only on 48 properties that went under the hammer. Now, up in Bris Vegas, of the 104 properties that were under the hammer, 62% of those sold. That is a massive jump compared to this time last year at 29%. Adelaide, 75% of the 82 properties under auction cleared. And regionally, well, good old Geelong, 90% clearance rates. Now, in other regional areas, what we saw was the Central Coast, they cleared at 55%. The Mornington Peninsula was at 63%. The Hunter region, 69%. And the good old Gong, those of you that you remember Arnie Jack from the Gong, 61%. And the Gold Coast, where I am at today, 52%. Now, more good news for our landlords. Well, vacancy rates are falling and rents, well, they are increasing across most cities in the nation. We're finding that fresh research in from SQRM research shows that at 2.1% is the national average vacancy rate, tighter than the December figure at 2.5% and slightly lower than a year ago when it was 2.2%. Now, the figure is showing that most markets have got a shortage of homes available for rent. All cities recorded decreases in vacancy rates in January, except Hobart, but that's remained steady at 0.6%. It is still the lowest of all the capital cities. Adelaide's vacancy rate was at 1%, Canberra sat at 1.4%, but both tight rental markets, while Perth, Brisbane and Melbourne all at vacancy rates just a little over 2%. Darwin recorded the highest vacancy rate at 3.2%, followed by Sydney at 3.1%. Now, over the last 12 months, the capital city average for house rents has increased 1.6%. Now, I wanted to touch on some land sales, something I probably don't spend much time on in the past, but they rose 46% across the country in the 6 months to the end of the September quarter. Now, that's according to the latest HIA data. The 10,563 lots sold during the period was much higher than the March 2019 quarter, when sales were at their lowest on record. Now, the uptake, I'd have to say, is yet to have an impact on land prices, although Eliza Owen from CoreLogic says it may not be long until demand starts to drive prices higher. Now, Ms. Owen said that the demand for land and dwellings has rebounded strongly since June last year, which is also reflected in a 6.7% rebound in national dwelling values over the last 7 months. Now, of course, the rebound in the housing market is followed on a number of indicators. We've had the federal election result, a relaxation in lending standards, some tax cuts, along with the reduction in interest rates, all a spike from the federal government with the first home buyers lending scheme having obviously a good impact, I'd say, with more than half of the 10,000 slots already filled. Now, as I mentioned, the relaxation of APRA's lending criteria and the interest rates coming down in 2019 and also so far in 2020, the data from ABS has seen loans to owner-occupiers increase 5% in December. It's 18% higher than a year ago. The new first home buyer loans risen 6% month on month, and that was 38% above for the same time last year. Now, HIA's economist Angela Lillicrap said the number of FHB loans has risen into December 2009. It's actually the highest we've seen since then. The other thing I wanted to share with you is news in from property advisory firm and valuation firm, I should say, Charter Keck Kramer, is that they are forecasting that by 2022, Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, they're going to face a shortage of new housing as construction, what we're seeing of new high-rise dwellings, is starting to recede. Now, the National Director of their research division, Rob Burgess, he believes that all of the East Coast capitals are going to be facing a significant shortage by the end of 2021. Now, we saw last year Melbourne, it needs about 50,000 new dwellings a year to keep up with its growing population, but 6,300 new units, that's half the number of 2018. Metropolitan Sydney, well, apartment releases last year, that only totaled 5,700, well down from the 16,300 in 2018. even though Sydney is larger than Melbourne, but it has a slower population growth. So it only needs about 40,000 new homes each year, which is traditionally about 60% in the past would have been apartments. Now, Burgess believes Sydney is facing a significant supply issue, and that's going to push into 2022. Now, whilst Brisbane started its downturn in the apartment cycle earlier than Sydney and Melbourne, it has suffered its fourth straight year of fewer unit launches, or rather new unit launches. So friends, that's my wrap for the real estate market this week from the beautiful Gold Coast. A little bit of a windy day here, but always lovely to be in this great place in terms of the beaches. Have a wonderful afternoon. Take care. Philip Robison and Philip Robison Property saying bye for now.